understanding psychology and economics. Those are probably the two most important subjects that nobody's taught on purpose. And a lot of
Mm.
what we are taught, like Freud is such a douchebag. Why is he the king of psychology? He should not be. Um, but like
Because young is dangerous.
yeah, because they don't want people actually understanding shit. They want everybody walking around thinking that their actions are motivated by secret incest desires. They want to fuck their own mom or something weird. Or they got penis envy. All this weird Freud shit that isn't really grounded in anything but his own weird perverted head.
Yeah.
Um, but like Biderman's chart of coercion. You ever heard of that?
No.
Let me snag this bad boy up. You're in for a treat.
I'm writing it down.
So what Biderman did is he studied um, people. He studied soldiers who had been prisoners of war in communist China, and he studied brainwashing techniques. And
Do you want to share your screen?
I certainly will. Yep. Are you? Let me find a good chart here real quick. Here we go. This one will work. So what you realize is that these there it is. Brainwashing techniques are basically the same as narcissistic abuse. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
and it's exactly the same as well here, I'll just let you make the associations on your own if it's there.
Before I read these, which I'm going to study them later, and then Sam and I will have an interesting discussion about it as well, I'm sure. Um, have you heard of Yanni Park?
No.
Oh,
Who's that?
um, I would highly recommend you watch her interview with either Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan or both. She is a North Korean defector, and she has a YouTube channel that's absolutely fantastic. I have learned so much. Like, I've always been fascinated by North Korea. I don't know how anybody could not be.
I think I've
But, huh?
I've seen little clips, I think. Does she talk about like how when she grew up there they like everybody worked all the time and she didn't and they like prayed to the leader and stuff?
Well, yeah, but that could have been someone else
Yeah.
too.
I'm looking for something to write on because I won't remember that name.
Yeah, I can text it to you.
Yeah, do that.
I have to do it now or I'll forget.
I know, that's why I had to write it down now.
Yeah. I love her so much. Hopefully that goes through. Okay, let me look at this.
Isolation. You want me to read or you want to read?
Uh, yeah, much more, if I'm going to put this up, it's
Yeah.
more interesting if somebody is reading
Right.
this. Okay, go ahead.
Um, the first one is isolation, and obvious the reasons are obvious. Um, you you one it weakens people mentally because we're social animals. Isolation is painful. Um, Solitary confinement is absolutely inhumane, and if you've never been in it, then it's hard to appreciate it as a form of torture, but it is one for sure. I've been in solitary confinement for 3 days.
Wow. Wow.
Um, there are people they leave in there for their whole fucking lives. That's terrible. Um, but more importantly, it separates them from outside influences who might contradict your point or what you're trying to impress on them.
Okay.
The second one is control or distortion of perceptions. So the narrative, controlling the narrative. You've cut out alternative people with alternative messages, and you control the message that they're receiving. Humiliation or degradation is number three. And again, it's more mental weakening, and it drops them down a level compared to you. People who are not being humiliated, it just helps uh, separate the worthiness, I suppose. It also has, I don't know if it says it on there. It says it brings up exhaustion. Um, it does it does that because it if you when you're being humiliated by, say, having to put a snot rag on your face every time you walk in public, by voluntarily doing that action, you're participating in it. You're participating in your own humiliation. And what that does mentally is, one, you in your own mind share some of the responsibility for your suffering, and two, it continues the thought process that the alternative is worse, right? It makes something else more scary. So you still have that component of anxiety about if this thing happens.
Is it humiliating or degrading, whatever? Because by doing that, even subconsciously, it reminds you of your own dirtiness.
No, it's degrading because it masks. Uh, they dilute your individual identity.
Mm.
If your
Okay.
if your face is covered, if your expressions can't be read, you're not you. You're not Kate. You're identity list. So it dissolves your personal sense of identity,
Uh,
and it's silencing. A lot of communication is you can tell when somebody's about to talk, right? And if you pay attention, you'll notice that you wait until somebody's noticed you're about to talk to start talking. Right? There's those little micro exchanges. It gets rid of those, so people start communicating less.
okay.
And I'm glad my daughter's older because if I had a kid like who's like 2 to 5 years old right now, because those are the when your brain is in, I think, theta waves, whatever waves it is, it's like a hypnotic state. 2 to 5 year olds are in hypnotic states where all they do is
Huh.
absorb the environment. And if I had a kid growing up in this shit
Yeah.
at that age, I would be beside myself because we're gonna have like a generation of like psychopathic nightmares. But
Yeah. Wow. Huh.
um,
Do you think they'll be less adept at reading facial cues?
and less interested in them. Both. They won't give them, they won't receive them, they just won't interact on that level. I think
Wow.
maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm speculating, but I
Well, they'll be
suspect
getting some of it, but less than average. Yeah.
a lot less than average. At school,
Um,
at church, like think about all the places where you go and see people. They're all
yeah.
institutions.
And you need to learn like the looks of people. Like, oh, they didn't like that. You know, you do need that socialization and correction of your behavior at that age. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was with Russia after the Soviet Union collapsed. There was a whole bunch of orphans, and what they found because um, the Catholic Church is evil, and they do experiments like this in their uh, orphanages. They found that if you had a baby or a baby, and you gave it all the things it would need: food, water, um, warm place to sleep, but no human interaction, it would die. All of them would die um, without that
Mm-hmm.
human bonding, right? So, I mean, that just sort of illustrates how really we need to sync up with other people, or else we're very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy to live in isolation.
Yeah. Okay. All right, go on.
That's that's simple enough. Um,
Yeah.
I won't dwell there. Demonstrating omnipotence, superiority, or power. Uh, remember when Fauci said disagreeing with Fauci is disagreeing with science?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enforcing trivial demands. Here in Kansas City, we have a little
Mm.
cafe. There's a little cafe in just across state lines, and they're getting hell because they, after whatever lockdown, they just said we're not doing it, and they're getting drugged through all sorts of shit by the health department, the courts. They've got a huge community support, but we're not the courts. In the meantime, you've got Arrowhead Stadium is full of people for Chiefs games, so that's a good example. Exhaustion, self-explanatory. Occasional indulgence.
Not off there. Oh, confusion is over there. I see. The abuser uses sleep deprivation to keep victim in a state of confusion. Okay.
Um, and if you read, you should read Biderman's actual paper because these are very simplified. He goes into
Yeah,
a
of
lot more
course.
depth, and it's worth reading for sure. But occasional indulgences, I think, is a
Mm.
very interesting one, and we get those.
Yeah.
Things start, they stop.
Stimulus
Oh no,
checks.
there's a new thing.
Mm.
So,
Oh, yeah.
anyways, to bring it back home, the knowledge of this sort of psychology really reframes everything.
Yeah. Um, okay. I shouldn't pause and think about this right now. I'm thinking about like how.
Oh, I just assumed you were still reading.
No, this is, you said it's the same tactics used by, for example, a narcissist.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that as well.
Yeah. I mean, all the everything. Like if you just watch things from a distant perspective, you'll realize that there's so much gaslighting, there's so much narcissistic abuse at a societal level everywhere. That damn, it feels like if people were just aware of this, then they'd see what's happening to them and they'd like maybe snap out of it. I don't know. Who knows?
I don't think it's true.
What do you mean?
Um, I don't think you can show this to people and even make without, don't even rely upon them to make the connections. Like, even if you made the connections for them, I still think 90% of them would not. I don't think they'd realize it.
I don't think they'd accept it.
Yeah.
But you can only lie to yourself so hard for so long. You know what I mean? Um, it's definitely more of like water dripping into the Grand Canyon than it is lightning striking and splitting the earth. More
Mm-hmm.
often than not, this would split me open, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I feel like I have the right to be wrong and make mistakes. Like I don't have any issue with that.
Yeah.
I give myself free permission to fuck up and to continue fucking up. A lot of people don't have that same perspective. So
I'm pessimistic about people's ability to perform a critical analysis of their own beliefs and perspectives.
why though? Do you think that that they're not doing critical analysis because they're actually incapable of piecing together the logic, or because they're unwilling to accept it because they feel some sort of way.
I want to say the latter, but in many cases it may be the latter because of the former. They may go hand in hand. But I think usually it's that they're unwilling to accept it.
If you really want to change somebody's mind, you just make it harder for them to carry the lie than it is for them to accept the truth.
Yeah. Okay.
And obviously that's a lot of effort to put into. You're not gonna it's not gonna work on a group of people, but it can work on one person.
Yeah. Well, I like to keep around me people. Oh, somebody said, I can't remember who it was, but it's one of my favorite quotes. It's like the measure of a man is something like the capacity he has for truth. I like to keep around people who have a great capacity for truth because they're the only people that I can actually talk to. Yeah.
I never want to keep a delusion. I never want to eat the blue pill because nobody's ever better off because they're more confused or because they know less. That's a weakened position. I don't ever want to be in that because I'm a fucking 8.
You don't think that they're happier though because they know less?
If you really know less, then sure, I think you can be happier. But if you are ignoring more or lying to yourself about it, then no, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
It's hard to maintain, I think. It's hard to maintain actually knowing less. You're going to come across information at some point.
And people who are that good at denying reality are, well, the narcissists. And they're miserable.